So stateful widgets are those kind of the widgets which maintain some kind of the state in the form of variables. Or we may say that any widget whose state can be altered during the program execution will be said to be the stateful widgets here. So a stateful widget in the Flutter is created by extending it from the stateful widget class. So as we can see here, the stateful widget is their class, and our application or our Flutter application is creating a class which is extending it from the stateful widget. So as we have seen in the stateless widget, so that can be created with the help of just single class. But in case of the stateful widget, there we have to provide two classes there. One class will be extended from the stateful widget where we will create a particular state, and the second class will be there which will extend from the state class, and the state will be maintained within this particular class. Whereas the build method, as just like in the previous stateless class was there, so the build method will be provided within the state class there. And the role of the build method in this case is again similar, just to build the user interface of this particular widget. So whenever we want to create this stateful widget, we will create a class, let's say in this case my app, which will extend from the stateful widget, and then here we need to override one of the method known as the create state. So whenever we are calling this create state method, this statement will be executed underscore my app state, and then two brackets are there. This means that is some kind of an object that is being created there, and that object is associated with the second class there. So second class is again underscore my app state, which is extending from the state class. So this is actually the class which is maintaining the state of this particular widget there. And in a widget, the state is maintained with the help of the state variables. But in this case, no any variable is created, so we have to provide certain variable which will store the state of this particular widget there. But the syntax would be like this, and then within that state class there, we have to create or override a build method, and the syntax of the build method will again be similar to the previous case, that will be returning a widget class. So you have to provide the widgets or the widget tree which will be rendered whenever this particular widget is constructed there. And you may note down one more thing, that there are some of the variables or name identifiers where you have the underscore in front of them. So in case of the Dart language, underscore in front of any identifier just makes that particular identifier as a private variable or private identifier. So if this class is having a name my app state, and underscores is there, this means that this class becomes a private class. So this means it cannot be accessed outside this particular file. And when we see here underscore my app state, it is an object of this class. Again, this object will be a particular private object there, so it will be assigned to a private variable. So in this case, we have to maintain two different classes in order to create a stateful widget. So whenever a stateful widget object is created, so first of all the constructor of this particular widget is called, and right after that when the create state method that was defined here will be called there. Now once that is called, then there will be a complete life cycle of that particular widget that will be maintaining the state, and then it will be calling the build method multiple number of times so that the changed contents will be visible there. Now whenever the state is created, so first the state will be initialized where all the state variables will be assigned an initial value there. Just like we initialize a variable like int number is equals to 10, means you are providing an initial value there. Then it will be checking did any dependency associated with the widget has changed there. If yes, then it will mark one of a variable. There is a boolean variable there that is called as a dirty variable, and there is another variable, the clean variable there. These are the boolean variables which will maintain some type of the status of the widget. So if the dirty variable is true, this means the widget has to be rebuilt and the build method should be called. And if the clean method is true, this means the widget is properly displayed, so no need to build it again, so no need to call the build method there. So when the there is any change in the dependencies, it will mark the dirty flag as true, and then whenever the dirty flag becomes true, it will always recall this particular build method, and the widget will be created once again with the modified view there. And once modified, it will again set the clear flag so that it will not be again and again build there and lose a different number of calculation power. And then it will also be in a loop, it will be checking, did update widget, is there any change to the state, is there any change to the user interface of the widget, did you click it something, some part of the widget there, or you have interacted with the widget there. Even in that case, it will again mark the flag as dirty and it should be rebuilt there. And whenever you set a particular state there, you change the variable, you will set a state there, and once a state has set there, means it is changed, then again the dirty flag must be marked as true, and then it must be rebuilt there. And finally, when this widget is finished processing there, and you can remove it from the memory, so that will be called with the help of the dispose method. So this is the complete life cycle of the stateful widget there. And when we come to the Visual Studio Code and how we can create a stateful widget there, so again we will have a class which will be extending from the stateful widget there. So we have a shortcut here as well. So if you write down STF, click on the very first option, it will create two different classes, and you just need to rename it, let's say my app. So in this case, we are creating a my app class which is extending it from the stateful widget. And then there is a constructor with the key attribute there, and within that one we are having a create state method being overridden there. And then we have another class underscore my app state which is extending from the state class, and we are overriding this particular widget method there, the build method. So build method will be responsible for drawing any component whenever that widget is generated. So we may write down, let's say we are returning something, let's say it is text, and we may write down any text in this case. So let's say instead of the text we are using a material app this time, so that we may have a full-fledged application as well. And then we may define the title, let's say this is stateful widget demo, and then within that one we may define the home attribute, and then within the home we will define the scaffold. Within the scaffold we have the app bar, and then app bar will be the object of class app bar. And then we have the title property, and again within the title we'll provide the text component, and within the text we will say demo. Let's say this text should be displayed as the title of the app bar. And then we have another property as the body property, where all the contents will be displayed for this particular widget. So let's say in this case, in the body we are placing a center attribute, so that we want to center all the contents. And within the child, as it is a single child layout widget, so within the child we are providing the text widget, and within the text we will write down some kind of text there, let's say in this case. So we have defined this particular stateful widget, and we may re-execute or rerun this, but first we need to create the object of this one and provide it to the run app method. Now if we restart this app and then wait for it to be rebuilt, and then it will appear on the emulator screen. So this is how our widget looks like. So let us first change the text size of this particular widget, the text widget there. So in this case, let's say the text will be changed using the style property, the text style, and then we have the font size. Let's say in this case we are providing this 60 as this size, so in this case the text is there. Now in this case we have created a stateful widget, but we haven't created any state variable. Now the state variable is any simple variable that will be maintaining the state properties there. So there are two possible options. Either you can create state variables within the first class, or you may create it in the second class there. But the recommended way is to place it in the second class here. Let's say we are creating one state variable of integer, and then we name it as the count is equals to 5. Let's say the initial value there. Now this variable we are making it as the state variable there. So this will be maintaining the value of this variable for the entire duration of the program. And what we want, that this state variable should be displayed on the text contents there within the string. So this variable is an integer variable. Within the text we need to provide the string argument there, so we need to cast it out. But there is a shortcut way. If you want to provide the contents of a certain variable inside the string, you will just need to write down a dollar symbol in front of that variable, and then it will be converted into the string and will be placed there. Now if we restart, now if you see there, this particular number is displayed on that particular widget there. So in this way, this particular variable is called as the state variable, which is maintained within this particular widget, and we may just access the contents of that particular widget as well. Now we may provide a certain action as a button, and we want to say that whenever we press that button, the value of this variable should change, and then according the appearance of this widget should change. So let's say we want to create one particular icon button within the app bar. So after the title we may provide as the actions, and within the actions we are creating one icon button. An icon button will be created as first we need to provide the icon that will be from the icon class as icons dot, let's say, add. So this will be the icon, and then we need to provide one more property as the onPraised method. And then here, just right now we are creating, for right now we're just creating a particular anonymous function there. But in this case the icon will be created as the icon object, and within the icon object we need to provide a constant as icons dot add, so that that button should appear. So if you see here, this is one of the add button there, but right now nothing happens because in onPraised we haven't done anything there. Now if you want to do certain action there, so we need to provide one event handler method there. Let's say void on add. So we want to say that whenever we click the add button, this function should be called. So we have created this function, and instead of the anonymous function we'll write down the name of the function on add. Now whenever we click this button, this particular add button will be this method will be called there. Now what we want to say that whenever this button is called, so count variable should be incremented by 1. So this will be done in this way. So what if we restart again at this, reload this application within the Flutter, and let's first provide the initial value as 0, and again a restart. So again we will see that so this particular widget is drawn there. So now we just click this add button. So but if we see here, when we're clicking the add button, nothing is happening, because in this case although the variable is being incremented, but you are not notifying this widget to redraw itself so that it will display the new value of the count variable. So whenever we want to change the state, we need to call this particular method, that is set state method, and you have to provide, or you want to change this particular variable within the set state. So in this case you are notifying two different things. First, the value of the count variable is incremented by 1, and another thing, the state has been changed there, the state has been set there, so that it will recall this build method and it will draw this particular text with the new variable, new value of this count variable there. Now if you restart this particular application, and then we will see initially the value is 0. Now if we click this button, so now see the state has been changed there. So this is how we'll be maintaining the state variable. Now if we have seen that the this particular count variable, we may provide this state variable within this state object, or you can provide it within this particular first class as well. And count equal to 0, and we will remove it from the second class. Now if you're writing it in this way, then you have to access the variable in another particular way, that will be with the help of widget dot and the name of that state variable. Similarly, here you have to write down widget dot count. So this will be small change whenever we want to create the variable within the first class but not in the second class there. So you have to provide it in that way there. But again, the recommended way is to use it within the second class there.